Why am I even doing any of this? Why am I recording in the first place? Well, there are several reasons, and they're all interconnected. I will try and identify one at a time, but that's not how this works, as you know. So, why am I recording this? Well, there's the acknowledgement that we have these different, what I refer to as aspects of self. And I've determined that we have 6 core aspects, and they comprise of 3 prime aspects, and one of them is this aspect of self, the ID, the ego. We are completely infatuated a lot of the time with self, and we are so much so that we don't even know. So then the first step is always awareness, and once you become aware of yourself, and then you can logically understand self. Okay, this identity of myself, it's not really myself, because when I say what is myself, what comprises of self, you say body, mind, and like character or soul or some kind of like form of consciousness, right? And we like to characterize things. So when it comes to understanding what consciousness is or what a soul is, we, for the large part, think of it as like our unique character. And then whether your belief system is, in reincarnation or afterlife or pre-life or just only this one life and everything's a magical harmony of coincidence and evolution and reiteration, whatever, I don't care, like whatever it is that you think or believe, we unanimously have certain levels of acknowledgement of this like sense of self, like unique us, what constitutes as us. And that's largely ethereal, and it's still a concept that we struggle to comprehend and understand and label and whatever and identify. And I think because it's precisely because it's so opposite to actual identity of self, the ego, this like core soul that we have yet to understand. It is hard to define because it's formless. The very nature of it is without form. And so that's why it's ever more difficult. But nonetheless, we as ego try to own it, try to make it a part of us. And we say like it's a deeper part of us. Fine, okay, but you don't have to try and own everything, ego, right? Ego is just one aspect. Okay, so acknowledging this line of thought, I'm now led to look at my world around me, look at my experience, watch my thoughts, which is another aspect, your mind, watch your body, another aspect, with all the sensory systems, and listen to how your body communicates with you, listen to how your mind communicates with you, listen to when your mind takes over, when your ego takes over, when your body takes over. Let me just come up here actually. Let me shut up and show you the view. This is Stave Hill. I'm so lucky to be here. And I'm sorry if the wind is blowing on the mic sometimes. Can't be helped. Yeah. guess that was just a little channeling that presence, channeling that sharing of the present moment, representing, represent, or represent. But this is my diary, this is my vlog, and I'm enjoying the process of just being myself, which is what this is all about, being more of myself. And so people tend to refer to themselves as singular, but then if you were to think about these aspects, you start to look at yourself and scrutinize yourself and observe yourself less as a singular self and more as a plural selves by the aspects. And you can watch them and have a better, healthier relationship with them. And the more that you do that, the more you become self-aware that it's not just the self, the ego, you have all of these other parts. And so it's selves. So when you think of look after yourself, in language we tend to associate that to the body, but we don't say look after your body, we say look after yourself. So okay, it's unspoken, but we're talking to the body, so you have to connect with your body and listen to your body and get to understand what it's trying to say and what it needs, and then you treat it well, you give it what it needs. Same as your mind, same as any other aspect. And that's the process I'm trying to explain and advocate, is that when you start formulating relationships with different aspects of yourself, then you initially just focus on the health benefits and the utility of it. You go, how can I practically use this? What's the use? So okay, if you focus on your body, then you better understand. I mean, look how pretty this is, look. I want to just snap a little clip out of this as I walk. I'm indulging. That's enough. I keep going off on a tangent, obviously. That's my creative side kicking in. That's my body saying, look at the beauty around you. Listen to the beauty around you. Feel, be in touch with, be a part of, tune in to what's around you, your environment, nature. Let your body become one with the environment. So the aspect of the body takes control through our senses and through especially being in a higher state, but not necessarily. You can just attune to this state anytime you want. And this is something that I've realized comes from my experience of vaping weed in microdoses, is that you can use it as a portal to attune into high, a state of high, without having to do anything extreme, very carefully and consistently and effectively attune to the state of high, which is another aspect that I'll talk about maybe later on. This video should be just about the ego and putting it in a way that is more for the ego enthralled, so the vast majority, and who have yet to hear or see glimpses of my explanations in the past and are coming to it with a fresh, fresh appearance. So the utility, one of the many utilities, and something that I'm openly exploring, is when you say to yourself, okay, there are these various aspects of self, So what? Tell me the use. Well, one of the uses of attuning to the body is, especially in a state of high, but is that you are in bliss in the moment of now, through the state, through the aspect of your body. And in that state, you can quieten the mind. You say, shh, body's taking over. Because that's where you put your focus, right? And that's something that we can control. The various aspects of ourselves are more often than not these days taking control of us. And by us, it's like our levels of awareness and our focus. A lot of the time we are unconscious because we've been programmed and habituated to unconsciousness. So this is the underlying journey that we're on, trying to become more conscious, or understanding what consciousness is, what ourselves is, blah blah blah. We're trying to better ourselves and understand ourselves, because everything is about me. And so now we're caught up in this story where ego is this, youth, and ego is just trying to understand the world and find purpose, find meaning, find objective and subjective truths. It's, ego's seeking. And ego is closer to mind, our association with our aspect of mind. We're much closer together than we are with body, even though we can say that our body is part of ourselves. We kind of own it and it's subjugated. And we use it as more like a tool to just use and abuse, rather than the body having an actual voice, because we rarely listen to it. We rarely are aware of the body's aspect and its needs and its communications. It has different languages and we are deaf to them and dumb to them, so numb to them. And so all of this is, in an abstract way of journey, identifying these narratives, identifying these ways of perceiving reality, and it paints a story, it paints a picture. Tuning into the body in the present moment brings forth so much realization of peace and tranquility and like harmony with nature and love. And why can't life just be this simple? Well, life is this simple. It's just not from our egocentric and mind-driven perspective. And everything is about perspective. What's around you, the beauty that's around you, is. It just is. It's your environment as a whole. And it's comprised of millions of different things. And it all just is. The moment we observe it and stop and, take a moment to smell the flowers, when we are in acknowledgement with that, we start to focus on that. Our awareness is locked in on this thing, whatever it is, whether it's of form or formless. And we just stay in the moment of everything. And the thing that consumes us the most is all internal, all inside our minds usually, and our emotions, and this self-contained shell. And any portal that you find that takes you out of that shell and gives you a bigger picture perspective, helps you step outside of yourself and allow your perspective, allow your awareness to be much bigger and grander and truer and unified, universal. When you live more in those states outside of yourself, then we will inevitably enact the change that we want in the world. And so that will become. And we will all do it from ourselves, for ourselves. And that, in summary, is one way to reach some kind of protopia, utopia, whatever you want to label it. But we know that we would rather be in this space as opposed to our default sober state, enthralled in mind and ego experience, which pretty much sums up the vast majority of people. And we're all seeking answers, and we're all seeking solutions, and we're all seeking whatever. And that's great. I love that we're all seeking in individual little ways, some way more than others. And the further that we seek out, the further we go into this discovery journey of the unknown, where we are so vulnerable both in a logical and rational way, because we're afraid of sounding stupid or sounding crazy, and that kind of fear of our mind's ability to actually construct a coherent sentence and a coherent line of thought and a concept. We are demanding that we expertly are able to define what the hell we're experiencing on the frontiers of that seeking characteristic. It's in my nature to seek, and it's in my nature to attune to more of what is now, because my awareness has been allowed to open up and open up and open up. Step by step, I'm just becoming way more aware of lots of things, and they come in different forms, like thought forms, and I delve into that, and I'm getting sucked in now. Whenever you feel yourself talking, it's an excited attempt to try and project and communicate and express and document all the magnificence that must be captured in some way, and and used, understood, and then used for practical applications for everyone and for my future self. I want to help myself. I want to help others. And this is in the background all the time. All the while I'm trying to stay in a moment and discover the beauty of everything. So they're in conflict all the time, in contradictions. So I'm tuning in and I'm tuning out, and so it's kind of confusing. I shall pause and collect my thoughts. One of the reasons I keep referring back to the importance of knowing yourself, or rather yourselves, and really getting to know who you truly are, like more of yourself, right? So if I, as an example, know that there are lots of things I'm now starting to observe that I do in privacy, right? That I would change my behavior as soon as anyone comes around. After a while, if you stay within the company of close friends or close family, people who you live with, over time, depending on your level of relationship and bond, you become more and more yourself. You allow yourself to be fully more yourself. You're not trying to pretend. And so that's an allowance of the ego lessening and lessening its grip on you and how you act and how you respond, right? And even how you think. We shift our behaviors to best suit, and it's through choice, how we appear. all the time, right? Only in small exceptions do we allow ourselves to truly just be whatever we want to be. It's not consideration. We're not trying to moderate ourselves when we are in absolute privacy. That is you. That's everything that is. Without that kind of control of ego being present in that moment, you're alone in the house. You know that no one is going to come in and no one's looking in through the windows. You are completely by yourself and you can do what you want. So you might like to put on some music and you might like to just, zone into just having complete peace and complete freedom, and you start being yourself. And all of the little things that you do, you would probably not do if someone was to walk in, or you were to hear the keys in the door. You'd adjust your behavior. And I'm saying pay attention to that pattern happening all the time. And that is one way to start that journey of awakening your awareness to go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I moderate myself. Well, why? Why do you moderate yourself? Well, we know the answers. It's basically because we're afraid of being judged and we don't want to come across this and that and blah, blah, blah. And that's all the ego, right? So, okay, we can establish we have this ego, and in our true selves, if we are open to just be completely honest and do what we want, how we want, we would be different. And that's okay. It's okay. It's not shameful. It is. We, through our actions, through ego, through control, through manipulating our body, we conduct ourselves in a highly moderated fashion. And that's fine. That's what is too. It's just you've not to then associate that as your default and only state, and that's the way how you should be all the time, with a certain level of moderation. No. You've lost yourself inside your ego. Acknowledge the other stuff that is, the stuff that you might be ashamed of, association with ego. Or any form of like embarrassment or, fear of judgment, that's all ego side. Like, forget all of that for a second. Just indulge in thinking and pondering, what if we're all more openly allowed and encouraged to be more of ourselves, our true selves, outside of the state of ego-controlled moderation? Let's explore that a little bit each day and find different ways to get into that state, where any state outside of our ego state, ego and mind state, get into the body aspect, tune into a higher frequency, choose to decide what you want to do, when you want to do it, act now, choose will, choose desire and passion. There's a side of chaos as well, because we can just be compulsive and impulsive, and that's okay too. Everything in like small degrees, and you test and you go, oh, this feels good. I'm letting myself make decisions that I wouldn't normally make. I would choose this path just because, why not? There's no thought involved. I chose this path, this decision, this action, this choice of what to do today. I chose this just in the moment without overanalyzing. I didn't let my mind take control and my ego hold me back, and my body just wanted to do this, so I did it. Great. You attuned more to your body to listen to what it sees and the sensory systems, and it pulls your attention. And once your attention or your awareness is tuned more into the body state, the aspect, then it allows you to quieten the mind and quieten the ego and just be there And then you might find that you are more tuning into the aspect of will, of what did I refer to it as? Want. The state and the aspect and the right, the privilege at any given time to choose, to desire and to enact. And for me personally, I find it difficult to get to know that character because I don't have a strong relationship with that side of myself. I am, in many ways I am, and I'm allowing myself more and more to give in to impulse and throw caution to the wind, in a sense of telling ego to sit down, or just not even bothering. Like, I see ego in those moments of impulse and attuning to a higher frequency and attuning to listening to my body and just following. And I do this and I speak out loud in public as if I am completely in privacy. And if someone was to walk by, I would moderate myself again. Ego comes back and says, you must not look stupid. You feel embarrassed. Stop what you're doing this instant. That kind of, right? So we have this kind of language going on, and this communication with the different aspects of ourselves going on all the time. And it's difficult to actually put into terminology. So this is a long-winded way of acknowledging several of these aspects, summarizing the state of understanding that I'm trying to communicate. And this is the best you're going to get for now.